to be joined now by Ken Gutman. He is the superintendent of the Walled Lake Consolidated School District, back with us on the MegaCast. Ken, thanks for being with us.
Well, my pleasure, Tyler. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you as well. So we're in the thick of things here in the new school year. Kids back in the classroom across the Walled Lake School District and most of our school districts here in southeastern Michigan. How are things going so far in the Walled Lake District?
Well, they're going well, and I'll put an asterisk on everything I say today. That'll be the COVID asterisk, as you can imagine. Our teachers are phenomenal. Our administrators are phenomenal. Our entire support staff, they're doing a great job educating children. It's just a more challenging environment, and I know everyone's still feeling that.
Yes, just a few weeks ago, as the school year was beginning, a couple of COVID cases were reported at Walled Lake Western High School, and just a couple of days we had a couple more that were reported there. What action is taken from the school district level when those cases are confirmed in your school? What steps are you taking both in the school and then in the community to properly address those cases and prevent further spread in individual schools and, of course, across the district?
Thank you, Tyler. Good question. We are sharing that information with parents. We share when there's a case in a classroom, a case in a school. We want to make sure people are aware. I will share the good news, though, and that is that within our school community and within our district, our cases still remain at less than 0.5%. So we're 99.9, whatever it is. I'm sorry, not doing the math right now. It's a very low percentage of cases. Now, certainly, we want to make sure everyone is well, and that not, we'd love that to be zero cases, but we're still very low on our case count within the district, and we certainly do notify people within classrooms and across our district when there is a case.
So in many school districts across our local area and really across the state before we started to see more widespread enactments of mask mandates by local health departments, it was kind of a mixed bag, school district to school district, about putting mask mandates and other COVID-19 precautionary rules in place for in-person learning this year. What was, before that mandate, of course, was put in place and overruled whatever decision was going to be made at the school district level, what decision was made at the school board level in terms of mask mandates or not in your school district? And was there any sort of backlash like we saw in many other school districts when those decisions were being made and being discussed?
Yeah, so it's not really a school board issue. It's more of an administrative issue. Last year, the school board had a role in voting based on the roadmap and the return to learn plan, the legislation. This year, it's an administrative ruling. And yes, there's backlash no matter which way we make the call. And we understand we're hearing from both sides of the masking issue, all three sides, actually. And so prior to the Oakland County Health Division mandate, we had informed our community that masks would be strongly recommended, but not required. Unfortunately, timing-wise, 24 hours later, we received notification from the health division that masks would be required, and that was the night before school started. So we had intended to be recommended, not required, and now we are in a situation where they are required.
We're joined by Ken Gutman. He's the superintendent of the Walled Lake Consolidated School District, and he joins us now on the MegaCast. And Ken, recently a law was proposed that would make it easier to ticket drivers who don't pay attention or just disregard the stop signs on school buses as kids are being picked up and dropped off from school by our buses. I know in the Walled Lake District, a lot of the times those pickups are happening in confined roadways or in major thoroughfares as well, out in the Walled Lake area and Wixom and in Novi. I see that pretty often too. What are your thoughts on this proposed rule that would ticket drivers more aggressively who ignore those school bus signals?
I like it. I want to keep our kids safe, and anything that can raise an awareness of school bus safety and anything that can hold people accountable who disregard that and put our children at risk, I support it. I think it's good legislation. I think it's a good rule. And certainly it's something that, not very many districts have exterior cameras. We have interior cameras. But the opportunity to have an exterior camera that would be useful in identifying those who put our children at risk, should it not be cost prohibitive, we're supportive of that as well.
So are there any plans, at least initially, with these laws both set to be on the books about October 11th? Are there any plans? You mentioned those exterior cameras on buses. Are any plans are in place or discussions already in your school district of obtaining those cameras and putting them into place?
Yes, we're in the exploratory phase. We're looking at whether or not we can actually retrofit the buses we currently own, or whether we'll be looking to add those cameras on buses we purchase in the future.
We're joined by Ken Gutman. He is the superintendent of the Walled Lake Consolidated School District, and he's joining us today on the MegaCast. And Ken, as we continue through the school year and kids are back in the classroom, what's been the response so far from the kids in the school district and the families, as well as the educators, about having that in-person dynamic be back regularly across the school district for this school year, as opposed to previously where we had either fully remote or a hybrid of in-person and remote?
I think by and large, people are happy to have children back in school. We know that for the vast majority of our children and for our staff, education is a better dynamic when it's in person. Some, of course, do learn well virtually, and that's a different conversation. But people are happy to have students back in school. I know I've heard from a number of parents who are thrilled with what our teachers are doing. Our teachers are tired, though. It's hard. It's really hard work to teach and enforce masks and do all the other things they have to do. It's another dynamic. The other dynamic that they contend with is we have some students in school who chose virtual last year. So, for example, we have some middle school students who are in 7th grade who never had a 6th grade experience, or sophomores in high school who never had an in-person freshman experience. So there's that dynamic, and there's that teaching we have to do to bring students up to speed just on expectations for hallways and classrooms and that sort of thing. But having students back in school is much better than having a hybrid or a mix or having students virtually by and large. So we're actually really happy to have this dynamic right now.
We're joined by Ken Gutman, the superintendent of the Walled Lake Consolidated School District. Learn more about everything going on in the school district by visiting their website at WLCSD.org. Again, that is WLCSD.org. And Ken, in terms of providing that in-person education while also being mindful of COVID-19. Of course, the mask mandates are in place. Distancing is still being utilized wherever possible, but it becomes a little bit more complicated as we get closer to the colder months of the year, because while you're able to have windows open more often in the fall or in the summer because it's warm outside or even very hot outside, and you can have that cross breeze without it really being a disturbance to the temperature in the classroom, or even had outdoor learning. As you get closer to the winter months, that becomes a lot tougher to complete. So what actions are being taken in the Walled Lake Consolidated School District, either from mandate from the top down in the administration to these schools, or innovations by our educators in Walled Lake?
Well, we're just trying to have an awareness of how to keep our children safe as we head into those winter months. We know it's going to be more challenging, as you said, Tyler. We know that, certainly students won't be outside for mask breaks as much. We know that students won't have the opportunity to social distance as much as they did last year during a time when we didn't have all of our children back in school. So there was more space in which to social distance. So we're looking into any option we have to make sure we continue to keep children safe in an environment where it's primarily indoors throughout the winter months.
We're joined by Ken Gutman. He is the superintendent of the Walled Lake Consolidated School District, and he joins us today on the MegaCast to talk about everything that's going on in the Walled Lake Consolidated School District, as well as navigating another complicated school year for people across the board, whether it be students, whether it be teachers, administrators, the school board, and so on, and even the community. Because while we're back in person with our education, and our kids are back in the classroom, our teachers are by and large back in the classroom as well, it's still complicated because there's still a number of things to navigate. And one of the arguments that was against the mask mandates in Oakland County and in many other places was having to have teachers manage the mask wearing among their students, because whether it's improper mask wearing that can be common among anybody, adult or child or teenager, whatever the age group may be, it's also in greater scale, I would imagine now, because we have everybody back in the classroom as opposed to a 50-50 split, or some days and some days not. How is that being managed, and how is that being mitigated right now? And are the teachers finding that to be a difficulty to manage the precautionary situation, and how's that maybe being assisted by the school district?
Yeah, we support our staff. It's really hard for them right now, though. Let's just keep it real. It's hard to pay attention to whether a student's wearing a mask, it's below the nose, while you're trying to deliver instruction. And so my heart goes out to our teachers, our paras, our support staff. We know that this is a difficult year for them as well, and they want to teach. They want to help children. They want to help them learn and grow socially, emotionally, academically. And managing masks is just one more difficulty, one more challenge. And so we do know that it's hard for them. We appreciate what they're going through to help. And we also have great faith that they're putting their heart and soul and taking care of our children. We know they're learning. We know they're showing growth. We just know it's significantly more challenging than, I guess, what we used to call a normal school year.
We're joined by Ken Gutman. He joins us on the MegaCast. He is the superintendent for the Walled Lake Consolidated School District, and across the board in education, hiring efforts and staffing in a number of different capacities has been a problem, as it has been in many other industries. Right now in the Walled Lake Consolidated School District, are there still staffing issues that need to be addressed? Or are there jobs available? And if so, what are some of those job positions and maybe even some of the requirements?
Thank you. I'll lead with this. I encourage anyone who's looking for a position to call 248-956-2000, ask for our Human Resources Department. It is challenging, not just here, but across educational institutions across our country and across the world. While we are fully staffed in transportation, we can always use more bus drivers. If a number of drivers call in sick, certainly we have a challenge. We're looking for some special education teachers of special education. We have positions posted on our website. We're looking for some other teaching positions that normally would be filled, and then support staff positions, whether it's crossing guards, paraprofessionals, that sort of thing. It's a challenge to find employees in this environment, and we certainly are looking to find the very best here in Walled Lake.
We're joined by Ken Gutman. He is the superintendent of the Walled Lake Consolidated School District. Again, if you're interested in any of those job openings or inquiring about job openings, you can call the Walled Lake Consolidated School District's HR department, or call and ask for the HR department by calling 248-956-2000. That is 248-956-2000. And across many school districts, what's been really great to see, at least for us here in West Bloomfield, as we've been partnering with the school district to broadcast West Bloomfield's football games, is seeing a lot of these traditions in the school district and therefore in the greater community as well coming back into play and getting people back together safely, but also being able to rekindle those traditions. How has that been like in the Walled Lake Consolidated School District, whether it be football under the lights on Friday nights or other gatherings that didn't happen last year, rites of passage and traditions like homecoming dances and other activities for schools? How important has it been for everybody involved in the school district to have those traditions back this year?
That's what builds a healthy culture. Not to say that math, science, language arts, and social studies don't determine our character, but having those healthy traditions make a huge difference. The homecoming dances, we had our annual Pink Out game to raise money for cancer research and awareness last week at Walled Lake Western. We had a Green Out game at Walled Lake Northern to spotlight mental health. And we're having our football game, Walled Lake Central against Walled Lake Northern, a week from Friday to honor our military. We'll have a number of military veterans there. We'll honor them. Those are really important to help build the culture of a district and of a community. And we're really excited to have those back.
We're joined by Ken Gutman. He's the superintendent of the Walled Lake Consolidated School District with us today on the MegaCast. Ken, just another couple minutes with you today before we'll say goodbye. Is there anything else at this moment in time that parents, that families, that students, educators, anybody in the school district should continue to be aware of, or that the school district administration from your level down wants them to be aware of, or anything interesting that we should be keeping an eye out for in the Walled Lake School District coming up?
Sure. I would just encourage all of our parents and community members to keep an eye on your children and certainly call your children's teachers and principals if you have concerns or if you see something that you don't feel is their normal behavior. We're in a different era right now. We see anxiety is up. We see depression is up. And we certainly want to be there to help your children and surround them with resources.
We're joined by Ken Gutman. He is the superintendent of the Walled Lake Consolidated School District, and he is with us on the MegaCast. Ken, thanks for being with us today.
Always a pleasure, Tyler. Thank you.